Study Session 3. Testing Process. Introduction. Lecture 3 discusses the various steps involved in the construction and development of psychological tests. The discussion also includes an exposition of the parties that are involved in psychological testing, including the roles they play. Objectives. It is expected that at the completion of this lecture, students should be able to 1. Explain the steps involved in the development of a new psychological test. 2. Identify the parties that are involved in any testing exercise. 3. Discuss the responsibilities of all stakeholders in psychological testing exercise. 4. Understand the ethics involved in psychological testing. Steps in test construction and development. There are steps in the construction of psychological tests, namely 1. Definition of behavior to be measured. A test constructor begins by first defining the psychological traits to be measured. This gives a clear indication of the aspects of behavior to be measured, as well as its operational definition. This could be used to form the name of the test, like anxiety scale, honesty scale, or aggression scale. 2. Writing and selecting the test items. After the definition of behavior to be measured, the next step is the formulation of items for the test. The problems here are those concerned with knowing what kinds of items will be good enough to discriminate among test takers on the desired behavior. There are various ways of doing this. In constructing a completely new test, the constructor would have to read literature on the concept of interest, consult experts on the concept before formulating initial items regarding the concept being considered. If the test constructor is modifying an existing test, he or she may first study the test, at times in conjunction with other experts, and perform a field study by administering the test on a group of subjects to determine the areas of difficulty in the test. 3. Test scoring. The way in which test items are to be scored becomes an important point, which also influences reliability and validity. The nature of the test determines the scoring pattern. For most power tests, the scoring is either right or wrong, and each individual gets a certain number right and a certain number wrong. Some speed tests may be scored on the time taken to complete the test, or the number of items completed within a specified time. If the test is designed to describe personality, there are no wrong or right answers. 4. Others. The other steps involved in test construction are so cumbersome that they have to be discussed as major topics. They include reliability, validity, item analysis, factor analysis, item difficulty, item validity, and norm establishment. Parties involved in testing. There are generally 3 parties involved in testing. According to the standards for educational and psychological testing, though this could become 4. 1. Test developer. This may be a company, an individual, a school, etc. The test developer has certain responsibilities in developing, marketing, distributing tests, and educating test users. 2. Test user. This may be a counselor, a clinician, a personnel official, etc. The test user has certain responsibilities in selecting, using, scoring, interpreting, and utilizing tests. 3. Test taker. This may be the client in many cases. The test taker has certain rights regarding tests, their use, and the information gained from them. 4. Test utilizer. This may be the test taker But in other cases, however, a business or organization may send a person to be tested. Thus, the organization also has certain rights regarding tests, their use, and the information gained from them. Responsibilities of the parties involved in testing. The test developer should 1. Construct a manual containing all relevant information, such as A. The development and purpose of the test. B. Information on standardized administration and scoring. C. Data on the collection and composition of the standardization sample. D. Information on the test reliability and validity. E. Adequate information for the educated consumer to determine the appropriate and inappropriate use of the test. F. References to relevant published research regarding the test and its use. G. Information on correct interpretation and application and possible sources of misuse, as well as any bias in test construction or use. 2. Support the information provided with data. 3. Adhere to all ethical guidelines regarding advertising, distributing, and marketing testing material. The test user should 1. Be aware of the limits of test in regard to reliability, validity, standard error of measurement, confidence intervals, as well as appropriate interpretation and use of the instrument. 2. Read the manual and understand all relevant information. 3. Assess his or her own competence regarding use of a test or the competence of those employed for that purpose. 4. Adhere to the appropriate use of the test as stated